Hello, everyone! Welcome back to the RationalInvestor.com's Daily Brief! Woohoo! Party! That one goes out specifically for my buddy Leanne. She told me that when she hears my intro and she hears me get all jazzed, it like gives her a shot of adrenaline to keep on keeping on. So that one's for you, Leanne. Have yourself a great day with the babies. Anyway, good morning, everybody. TGIF. Woohoo! It's Friday, May 24th. Actually, this is the official kickoff to the summer driving season. Get race cars, get your engines ready, all that kind of fun stuff. So we're going to be heading into a long weekend here, which, of course, in crypto land means get ready, everybody. There should be some pretty wild fireworks here. And these are 3-day events. If I understand correctly, the U.S. market is closed Monday. So it should be a pretty wild ride. Speaking of wild rides, we got the crew on board here today to rock your world. Of course, we've got Alex, the mayor of Vienna, driving the bus. How you doing this morning, sir?
Hey, sir, I'm wearing my fireworks suit already, so I'm pretty excited for what's about to happen, I guess.
Awesome. And as a special treat this morning, direct from the mean streets of Boston, Thomas is in the house this morning. I think he's a little bit sleepy, though, today. How you doing this morning, Thomas?
I'm good. I managed to avoid a speeding ticket, though, so I'm pretty happy.
Well, that's cool. Like, you drive a fancy German fast car, don't you? So...
Yeah, I don't like going the speed limit, especially when I'm going on a 300-mile trip. I like to cut down on my time.
They actually did a study, and it turns out that if your car is red, the odds of the police actually stopping you and giving you a ticket are like literally twice as much as any other color if you have your car. So is your car red?
No, but I heard that the odds that if you're driving a BMW, you're twice as likely to get a ticket by the cop as well.
Well, I wasn't going to name the name brand, but if I'm not mistaken, I think that's sort of your pension, eh?
Yeah. I got pretty lucky both ways, up and down.
That's what she said. Anyway, good morning, everybody. As you can see, Brian's in a bit of a giddy mood here this morning, so let's have some fun here today. We do have the official start to our education program. Hey, there's Benjamin. Red cars are faster. That's what I heard. I mean, just by general, they go about 5-10 miles an hour faster than all other cars anyway, right? So, but we do have the official start to Q2 TRI education program. Of course, last week, the level 1ers got going. Grim, of course, kicking ass there, taking no prisoners, and of course, welcome everybody who's in the level 1 program. Get nice and settled in. We're about to rock your world. And today, being Friday, is the official first class for the level 2 program, and really more automated, so really just primarily group tutorial. But nonetheless, spent lots of time yesterday sort of reviewing with the team how things are going. And I got to say, frankly speaking, I was actually expecting this quote unquote, this downturn in crypto and stuff to sort of give us a bit of time to do a developer cycle. And you guys just keep piling in here. I'm actually quite shocked at how many people are actually registered on the site and in the school. And we're even finding out people, well, I won't go there today, but I will just simply say a big thank you to the community. Your trust in me and the TRI team to lead you in a good direction really touched my heart. Frankly speaking, I really wasn't expecting as many people on the site as there was through this cycle. And the number of people that are registered in the level 2 program, when I actually saw the number yesterday, I was like literally blown away. Frankly, I was absolutely shocked. So it's going to be a busy term for us, Zach. Zach is my official level 2 TA. and we're going to be extremely busy. Now that session starts in about 2 hours. And it's our introductory week. So, if you are registered in that level 2 program, try and pop on into the group tutorial session. Is it, our introductory week? We're not going to be covering any educational material today, just sort of getting all the pieces in place and making sure everybody's all set up on the site and all that kind of stuff. So, and I know Alicia's been going, well, Brian, I've got 47 questions to ask you. So where should I post these questions? It's like, oh, no. So I know Alicia alone is going to keep me really busy this term. But anyway, it's all good. And that's what I'm here. I'm here to help. And, I guess, over the past 6 months or so, to be honest with you, I've even sort of questioned whether I am actually helping people and whether I am making a difference in this world. And, just seeing the amount of people that actually keep, moved on from the level 1 to the level 2, it frankly, it shocked me. It shows that you guys obviously see value in the program, in the content that we deliver. And you do see that I am trying to help you and making a difference in your life. So again, wanted to just give a big thank you to the community. I'm actually very touched by how active and interested you all are in TRI. It really touches my heart. We want to release the bear, of course, and get a nice update on the market. But there's just one other thing that I need to talk to you guys about. We are planning for the TRI meetup this summer. It is basically the end of July, first week of August. We've basically locked off a couple places, but we need to know, when we met last summer, I basically put out a challenge to everybody through Europe and stuff that, your big job is just to survive through bear markets. And I wanted to see everybody here in Vancouver for this summer meetup here this summer. We had a fairly long list, a good 20 or 30 people that said that they were thinking about coming to Vancouver. Now that we're basically in the home stretches and we're just, deciding on exactly which house we want to Airbnb, I think it's called. We need to know just an affirmation that indeed you're good to go. San, of course, is basically locked in. Raf and his son Magic are locked in. We have probably about 10, 15 other people that said that they might be coming. I just need for everybody to reconfirm. If you want to PM me, if you want to PM Julian, Sjord, whoever you like to talk to on the site, just to confirm that you are coming. It's going to help us decide whether we need to Airbnb the monstrously huge place or the medium-sized place that we were thinking about. Well, I don't know whether it's a sheet that I've done up here. We did do this Vancouver meetup, and I guess I can just show you guys. It's not really, private, but here is that sheet, and I can just post that in the lounge. If anybody wants to either add their 2 cents, or if you're like, no, Brian, I'm not going to make it, cross yourself off, totally fine. But I just need to know exactly who that are previously said that they were going to be here in Vancouver, that you're coming. And then just sort of a side note, I've been sort of working through our itinerary, a whole bunch of fun stuff planned. We're going to be going deep sea fishing. So anybody who was in there, Kevin, you get another, you're down, you're coming. So Kevin, of course, caught the biggest fish when we were in LA. So now he's going to see what Pacific Northwest deep sea fishing's like. We plan on heading up to the local mountains. We'll do the grouse grind. We're going to do the sea to sky. We'll do There's actually a really cool mining museum up in the interior that I plan to take everybody up to. So it's going to be a really, really full itinerary. I want to pop in and all the Europeans. I want to take you guys to a North American pastime, a baseball game, a AAA baseball game here in Vancouver. So a bunch of fun stuff. Really, this week should be all about social and having fun. But also to the boys, Sjord and Julian both would like to do like mini workshops and stuff. And sort of if we're in person, you're going to have San and Sjord both in person, brilliant programmers. So it's going to be a lot of fun. But at the same time, too, I really need to know, there was a bunch of people that said they were going to come. I need now over the next week or two to firm up those numbers just so I know exactly how many beds we got to put together. So just an FYI on that, coming out of the meeting last night, we agreed that basically over the next week or two, we're going to be continually making reference to this just so that we have this all firmed up. Somebody's got their microphone on. Oh, okay. Thank you, Thomas. Looks like you took care of that. Thank you. Okay, so speaking of Thomas, we might as well jump right into this. How you doing this morning, sir?
I'm good. What kind of fish are we gonna be catching?
I think, well, actually it was funny because when I talked to one guy, he said, well, there's one type of salmon that you can fish, but then if you come in July, there's another type of salmon that you fish, but if you catch those, you have to put them back. So there's actually about 3 or 4 different types of salmon that are going to be fish-able. So interestingly enough, it's not just, is it salmon? There's actually a number of different types of salmon that they've got going. So
how cool would it be? How cool would it be if we all catch our dinner and take it home to grill and maybe make some sushi?
One of the days, and really we kind of wanted to do like a barbecue sort of, the official TRI meetup. So, the places that we're considering have to be sort of barbecue eligible. And Casey, if I'm not mistaken, he was actually considering roasting like a half a pig or something for us. So wouldn't it be cool to have like this massive grill where we've got like Casey cooks up a big old pig and we've got a whole bunch of salmon all cooked up and stuff. Oh my goodness. It's going to be totally awesome. So yeah, I mean, I can't wait. This is going to be so much fun. And bacon. That's right. Everything's better with bacon, right? And if I'm not mistaken, Andrew, I think his family owns a sushi restaurant, and so Julian's like, "Can we get Andrew to do up some sushi with all the salmon?" So anyway, there's a special challenge for you, Andrew, because Andrew's a bit of a chef. Okay, so we'll talk lots about that over the coming weeks, but I just wanted to give a quick heads up. We are in the process of basically locking in the Airbnb accommodations, and we just need to firm up those numbers. If you wouldn't mind, if you are planning on coming, just give me a confirmation. Yep, I'm down. So, okay, let's get on with the market. Today is Friday, options expiry. We actually took a look at some of the options data yesterday, and on balance, I think basically the S&P 500 boys are going to do fine as long as they keep the market above 280 or so. Keep in mind, this isn't a big monthly contract expiry. This is just a weekly one. So the open interest isn't that heavy. And I saw most of the heaviest open interest was around 281, 282. So I think on balance, they're going to be fine. It was really interesting to see crude oil fall out of bed, but also too, it was interesting to see, and I don't know if I'm screen sharing or not, but it was interesting to see how price came right down into a 38.2 AB equals CDs, basically testing the bottom of value, and it's stalled here. And as I sort of said, I think I talked about this in yesterday's video, energy is always sort of a leading indicator with the market. So if energy is weak, then my hunch is stocks are going to be weak. And of course, sell in May and walk away. We're basically going through the very normal seasonal patterns here. it was interesting. Additionally, yesterday we had the U.S. dollar just screaming higher into those Fed minutes. Did this AB equals CD objective get hit? I don't know. But we can clearly see that there's quite a bit of position squaring heading into the weekend. And also, too, this is the start of the holiday long weekend. So I'm sure a lot of traders are probably just squaring up positions, getting ready for the holiday. So, all right, Mr. Bear, that's sort of the things that I'm seeing here. You tell me what you're seeing today.
Yeah, it was interesting that we went into the day yesterday on open and the dollar just shot up, looked like it was going to break out, and got a whole bunch of people excited only to be shot back down. And I think a lot of traders are confused. I listened to the, my favorite guys podcast again, and, they haven't changed their tune. They're just like, this is the typical range, and they still believe that they're bullish dollar. I mean, realistically, I think what's going on here is we're getting a European situation between Theresa May stepping down and the euro being weak. We got a bunch of weak data out of Europe yesterday. PMI was really bad, as well as a few other things. So you can see the euro kind of took a dump yesterday, but as the inverse to the dollar, recovered pretty quickly. But again, we're still in this like odd 38.2 test. And really, I'd argue that now this looks like a head and shoulders at the bottom of the range. And if this is really what it is, this looks like a disaster for the euro. I know that you're even more bearish the pound than you are the euro, but I think that both of them are looking like disaster. So if this is all we can get on a bounce from the euro, then it's night for this one into...
I'm bearish hairdos.
Yeah, what's his name?
And his name's Boris too.
Boris, yeah.
The late night comedians are just gonna have a field day with this guy. Mind you, Teresa's hair is not too much better anyway, right?
Well, at least she gets hers professionally done. I think he just touches a static electricity ball and he turns into a floof.
Now we're probably insulting all our British brethren, so my apologies. But
I think this is typical British humor, though. Correct me if I'm wrong, you Brits, but I'm pretty sure you guys take pride in these kind of jokes. All right. Anyway, as far as what else is going on, again, trade war crap on the table as usual until this thing resolves. It's just the markets are, they're constantly going to be directly impacted by the news. So yesterday's headline was sort of like, oh, look, the trade war is probably going to go on a lot longer than we thought. Well, we've been talking about that potential since early last week. And everyone's like, no, this is just a short-term thing. And it seems like the media and some of the other bigger name guys are like, yep, this could actually last a lot longer. So with that in mind, I think the markets are still very choppy. They have to take into account that there's going to be more tariffs that are going to be put on, more companies are going to suffer through this. And then the other problem, which I thought was an interesting point, is that if a trade deal is eventually made, at what time period does that actually happen in the first place? And secondly, you really have to wonder if that trade deal does get if the trade war gets resolved, are all the people who were looking at the market before the trade war, who were bullish, didn't think things were wrong, that are now looking at the market and going, okay, what do we want to, what do we see as problems? What do we see as potential positions in the market that are vulnerable to the trade war that haven't come off yet? And as they're looking through the market, they start to see more weakness that really isn't related to the trade war. And they go, oh shit, things are actually much worse than we really thought. And then eventually you do get resolution of the trade war, but you don't see the markets recover because everyone's kind of looked underneath the market's hood and they've gone, oh no, this is a disaster. And then
the problem here too is that we have to understand the market is a forward discounting mechanism. So yes, you might get a headline, oh, the trade war has been resolved. But what you actually see out of the economy doesn't usually materialize until about 6 months after sort of the news headlines. This is why Fed policy is so difficult, because, when the Fed actually changes rates, it doesn't actually get reflected in the economy until like 6 months down the road. So the problem with all these trade wars, and frankly speaking, I don't think we're anywhere close to any of this being resolved. But the problem with these trade wars is we really won't see the effects on the economy until a good 6 months, a year down the road. So this is a mess. And the problem is that this, now they're calling it what are they calling it? A tech Cold War. They're just doing more and more and more damage to the system and sort of established business. And really simply put, if you were in business and there was all this sort of uncertainty around, would you go and invest $1 billion in a new project right now? Or would you maybe just say, you know what, I think we ought to just cool our jets and wait for the dust to settle here? So, I put out lots of tweets in the past. Trade wars never end well. I would actually make the argument that this trade war will, in hindsight, be actually blamed as the reason why this economic cycle came to an end and the upcoming recession happens. And that's the sad part about trade wars. But anyway, we'll see how it goes. Inflation, deflation sure looks like interesting that you still like to follow this study.
I love it.
The deflation boys are taking over again, eh?
Did we talk about this on Wednesday? Because I was on here on Wednesday, right? And that was right before Fed came out. And I think
very briefly I showed it, and you were like, "Yeah, that's huge."
And the Fed's closely monitoring this thing, and really, I mean, what do you need for a market to really be in trouble? And I think that's in an inflationary scenario, and we're nowhere near that, right? Like the Fed is probably looking at this thing, and they're like, "Oh shit, we probably like hiked rates way too fast here." So. If anything, just looking at,
write this down, everybody, if you don't know this. The Fed always moves too far.
Yeah.
They do too much. And then, in hindsight, they go, oops, yeah, maybe we shouldn't have raised that final time. The key to all this, of course, is yield curve. And we've got 2s and 5s and 10s all now below short-term interest rates. The final sort of piece to this puzzle is, does that long end break? And, your TIPS TLT spread that you saw, you can see how it's accelerating towards deflation. If that 30-year bond really does break and prices just start ratcheting higher, you'll see that thing go into free fall. And, structurally, what letters of the alphabet do you see on Thomas's chart? I hate to say it, but I see a lot of M's. I don't see a heck of a lot of W's there.
You know what I just realized? These M's kind of look like Batman heads.
Okay, yeah, like little ears.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a
little
different...
Batmans are coming into the market.
Yeah.
Look at this Head and Shoulders Batman.
Yeah, I mean, anyway, you shake it like, and this is probably a really good example of, you see the profile looks fairly full. Are we accepting below value here? Market structure is sort of our tool for acceptance. And you can see that low from back, looks like maybe October, November of 2018. That's a really important key pivot. If we lose that level, then, and really, I don't see any reason why not. I mean, we're now heading out of the economically active time of the year. Buy when it snows, sell when it goes, heading on summer vacations. I don't see a lot of inflationary pressures, and seeing the price of crude break here. Ironically enough, the saber rattling with Iran might have been sort of that exit pump for the crude oil traders. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Just like we see in crypto, the big boys exit pump this shit so that they can get out of long positions at nice high prices. And then you find out a day or two later that it was all just bullshit, right? And the Iranians are coming out right now going, we don't want war. We don't want war. Go away.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw a lot of headlines that localbitcoins.com has banned Iranians from making new accounts and even from trading Bitcoin on there. I don't know if that's a government policy, but you make a good point.
Institution?
What's that? Local Bitcoins? I don't know. I don't know, but that was
I
all
do
over
know,
the.
and actually, we're having dinner with Riza tonight. Shane is heading on the road. I think he's relocating to Mexico or something for a little while. So we're gonna have a little get together here tonight to bid him adieu.
Shane's leaving?
Well, Shane, are you? Is it just a few weeks you're going down to Mexico?
Yeah, I'll be there for 1 week. No promises, though. Hey.
You might just not come back.
I might not. I might just cash out all my Bitcoin, just stay there.
Okay, be careful. Yeah, and we have a few people down in Mexico too, so probably not a bad. I think anyway, excuse my interruption. The point that I just want to make is it's always fun to talk to Riza about Iran because he has a very personal connection with the country and sort of the politics and what's going on inside the country. So it'll be interesting to quiz him tonight to see what his impression of all this stuff is.
Choo choo.
All right. Yeah, nice short. Excellent. Well done.
Yeah, so here's one of the positions I put on. I think I don't know when I talked about this, but this seems to be working out pretty nicely. I was really close to hitting a double on this, not like missed it by 5 cents, I think, down here. So I'm still waiting on that. And it's interesting because these are $75 puts, and I'm already doubling the position. I have to check the internals, like why is this thing doubling already? Because I know the volatility index didn't spike. So I'm not making this up by Vega, but something's going on.
The question here I would have for you is, what's the margin requirement to put on 100 shares short at $75? So as soon as the option goes to at the money, it has to reflect the same cost to margin that stock. So, and this is often why our little TRI SOFs do so well so quickly out of the gate. Is all we need is the market just to go back to at the money, and all of a sudden the premium gets bid up ridiculously, right, to reflect that margin cost. So
cool. Yeah. Okay. So there you go. That's why I'm making the monies. The other things that I wanted to talk about here today, aside from my positions, because those have already taken off, so no use talking about those. But I did want to touch on this Royal Bank. I know you've been itching to put on this Canadian bank short. This thing, I don't know, I missed it. Right, 2 weeks ago, this thing put in the perfect top, and I would have loved to have gotten in on this thing. But this looks like a active distribution where people were shorting into this. Lots of M's coming into this market, bearish divergences here. And these are all, are these confirmed here? We've got from here to here. I guess this isn't confirmed just yet, so maybe we've got a little more work to do to clean this thing up. But did you
a weekly chart?
Weekly?
Really,
I knew you were going to say that.
Picture.
Did you ever get filled on your? You were getting kind of hustled by the Montreal gangsters. Did you ever get filled on your short?
No, fuckers still haven't filled me.
Yeah, they knew. They're like, that Brian Beamish, we're not going to let him make money here. But the weekly's got almost a confirmed divergence, right? This, by all means, is a those are the mafiosos have come out.
Yeah, I know. Office. Careful. They're hiding under your desk.
They did. They just took off my leg. So we've got a confirmed bear div here. I like to see things go below the zero line just by the way that I trade. And, no market structure just yet. I'm wondering if we might need to put in a weekly head and shoulders before this thing rolls over. And that would almost make sense because that would put us into September. So maybe you still have time to put this thing on. I don't know if these things are just yet ready to roll over at this time. They look close, but imagine something like this and then rolling over here. That puts us into late summer, potentially there.
This isn't the one that's most exposed to the Canadian real estate market. The one that we want to sort of watch that's most vulnerable is CM. If you type in your symbol box, this is the biggest bank in Canada, but they have a pretty big exposure in the U.S. stock market. So they get a lot of revenues from there. But there you go, bang. CIBC, this is the bank that has the most exposure to the Canadian real estate market, and you can see the very well-defined. Keep in mind, this is a weekly chart that Thomas has up there. Pretty nasty looking M up top there.
Yeah, it looks like the short was in March on this thing as it came back to
That was
retest.
just about exactly when I started working those bids for those puts, and these guys just said, "Brian, we're not going to give you any fills. Fuck you." Excuse my French. Sorry, everybody. I've got to really work on my French. There's a lot of kids who watch this. Sorry, everyone. Yeah. So if there's going to be a bank that's in trouble in the Canadian real estate market, I think it's going to be this one.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff here. What were the other things that I wanted to? I wanted to look at the U.S. financials because I was interested in how those were going to be impacted here. And, you know, from a weekly perspective, I don't know if we have anything on the table other than the same, you know, it's interesting, right? Same bearish divergence. It almost looks like the same potential head and shoulders formation on the weekly, but nothing to do there. So,
Well, the key here for the U.S. financials is, has the Fed actually gone too far? If the curve inverts, then, you know, that basically implies that the financial services industry is guaranteed to lose money. And, you know, seeing our divs, like you zoom out, you see that big old M on the charts there. I mean, it's as plain as day. My hunch is the market actually is pricing in that the Fed went too far. So we'll see what happens. And then, of course, we've talked about this at length. You know, recessions usually happen in years that end in 8s, 9s, 0s, 1s, and 2s, and here we are in a big fat 9. You know, within the next, you know, couple of years, the odds of recession are very, very high. And so it shouldn't surprise us to see these kind of indexes rolling over.
do you follow the corporate paper market at all?
Not as much as I should, but you know, it would be a good idea to just keep an eye on this stuff. You know, V bottoms there. Clearly, there's going to be some testing down the road of those lows. Dead cat bounce. Market rallies back up to the top of value. Probably if you did a fib off of that low back up to those old highs, that was right into a reload zone. So seeing a top come in here shouldn't surprise us either.
Yeah, this just
really
looks like a train wreck.
Yeah, actually, that's interesting how you could make the argument that this corporate interest rate market actually, it's already in a bear, isn't it?
Yeah, it's been so for a couple years now.
Yeah. And really, I think that makes sense too. In that, you know, last fall, a lot of damage was done to the market when the interest rate market turned and started heading back up. You know, we were chatting in the lounge this morning. Our little DPW is, you know, just swimming in a world of debt right now, and they're trying to restructure. I would imagine there's a lot of smaller companies that are really scrambling right now.
Yeah, that looks like crap too. The LQD is the another one that I look at. This actually looks more interesting from a short perspective because it's at a reload zone short location right now. Weekly bearish divergences coming back up into an area where you can see this thing.
Short.
Yeah, I'm salivating on this one. Maybe we should go and look at a daily to see how this looks. And you know, tough place as far as, you know, no nice structure, little W's coming in, but this looks like an active distribution, right? Like if I'm a fund manager and I bought all this stuff at the end of December, it's kind of May. Is it time to sell this stuff off and get a pullback? Yeah, you know what? I might actually be pricing some puts in this after we get off this call here and see what that looks like. Because this would be the area, right? You're going to get an SOF. You stick your neck out here a little bit. You get a nice half on a double down to what, you know, 115 by the 117 puts, and you pay what, $1.50, 75 cents. That sounds like a good deal. And then you got a gap right down here. So this could be a potential interesting play there. Okay, that was cool. I just pulled that one out of my ass. Oops, sorry, kids are watching.
Yeah.
Pulled that out of the teddy bear. Other things that were interesting, you know, I really want to take this Kraft Heinz, what is it, KHC, right? You know,
that's Kinross Gold.
Yeah, wrong one. There you go. So this thing keeps breaking to new lows, and you know, I'm just waiting for the right moment to buy this thing. But you know, I like the idea. You guys are playing this through leaps, right?
Yeah, I think we bought like a January option. Not in
Okay.
any hurry here whatsoever. My hunch is for those people that are interested long stock market ideas, there's no hurry for the next month. If anything, just let June get out of its way, let the W's come back in, and we can start hunting again. It looks to me like this thing needs to explore lower. I don't think there's a big hurry in here. And yeah, we bought the January, the leaps there. So, but and again, we don't throw a heck of a lot of money at these TRI SOFs. Like couple $100. But down in this area to be shopping those longer term trade ideas, not a bad idea.
So you were talking about pharma and that there may be some kind of turn, but you were very hesitant because of the 2-week study that didn't seem to be the right space, or we weren't confirming, right, that this was the space to be getting in. But I went through a couple pharma names after you mentioned that, and I went through some of my watch lists for pharma. Like, what am I looking at here? This is the wrong page. Here we go. So there's this company called RKDI. Is this something
before you get going in earnest, Zach has, he does absolutely great research and a whole bunch of pharma names are looking really attractive down here.
Yeah, totally.
So this is another one that you're interested, RKDA.
Yeah, look at this nice double div here. Structure's a little bit wonky. Like, are we just filling in this gap here and then come back down? But I think everything's on the table for this thing to go blast off, maybe a couple bucks. So I like this name. I've been hunting this for the last couple days. I'm not sure if this is going to take off without me. If it does, so be it. But I think this might just, poo-poo its way sideways for a couple days and maybe give me a fill. And I'll probably
draw a trend line off of that April peak, that little shooting star there, and we might have a LJ's. I don't know whether I go off of that high. I think that April peak, we could probably do 3, like 1, then the next one, right, and extend that out. And that might be setting up sort of LJ kind of thinking. So if we get struck, yeah, there you go. So we've broken the trend line. If you get a W that comes in now, I think that'll probably get the moving averages to turn back up here. But yeah, lots of upside there. And I don't know whether you guys remember the Martin Schrekel stuff from a few years ago, but is that his name, or did I get it wrong?
I think it's Skrelly. Yeah, but it sounds like Schmeckel.
So, but the point is the kids love to play the pharma stocks through the summer. I could easily see a stock like this rally back to the 50% rule, basically right into that traffic area, and the bottom of value there, and that for us that like to hunt bottoms, ends, or ranges, that actually probably is going to represent a half decent trade idea.
This is the worst thing that I hate seeing.
Yeah. If they aren't option eligible, we go boo, hiss, boo.
Yeah. So this
keep in mind, a lot of these junior pharma names are like that, right? They don't have enough interest to actually have options on them.
Yeah. So I guess I'd be a guy like me, or a guy like you, even, and a guy like Mr. Gap Hunter. Can you see where he'd be sticking his toes in the water here?
I think I'd be inclined to let that W come in first, though.
Oh yeah, you wouldn't just go for the gap fill?
Not yet. I've traded and worked with Leanne's trend line breaks now for a while. I really like when the market breaks the trend line, but you got to see market structure on the other side of that trend line. And then I think, yeah, it's probably a really good trade.
Okay, good. That's a nice, safe way to play this one for sure.
Yeah.
Should we cut ourselves off here before I start blabbing away about tons of pharma and tech names that I'm looking at, and maybe save that for another day before we talk about the cryptocurrency?
Yeah, why don't we pop on over to crypto? Because we have the 3-day weekend ahead of us, we're probably going to be concentrated on crypto for the next few days on the site. So I can't remember what your question was, but I do like the idea of us spending some time in crypto here.
Okay. Sure. Let's do that.
Like we had sort of talked about this recently. The weekly charts still look very uppy. So as a result, I wasn't overly enthusiastic about hunting shorts just yet. And interestingly enough, we had our sort of team meeting, we're Fjord's actually feeling like we're at the point where we can actually start running, crypto trading plans again on the site. So we're going to get the Bitcoin trading model back up and running, and you can see how the moving averages have turned back bull. So interestingly enough, as long as these moving averages are sitting in the bull phase, I actually have to sort of, our trading plan is I have to be hunting longs now. So I think we were well served, not getting too excited about the short trade there. I'm not quite sure how much more upside to go is. Me personally, I'm in sort of trend continuation sort of thinking on crypto right now. So of course, watching algos very closely for trend continuation signals. And of course, I thought this was really cool this morning. Classic. You guys have heard me talk lots in the past about how Brian and Mountain Man would sit in the top step pits, and one guy would be short and one guy would be long, and who knows what's going to happen. I thought it was interesting how, this potential bullish bot, they broke the bottom without actually breaking it out. Then instantly right after that, and I talked about this in yesterday's daily brief, we had this bullish divergence come in and confirm. We actually got a little bit of bullish Davos W's and OBV W's in Williams percentage R, RSI. There was the adjusted bot levels, and woke up this morning to see that, oh, gee whiz, now we've rallied up and hit stop to scratch levels on this bot. So had you taken this setup, actually, you'd be sitting now just basically saying, if it pulls back, then I just walk away at scratch. But in essence, I think this is working away. And believe it or not, guys, I think we could take a serious stab up into the 9,000 area here. And interestingly enough, if we zoom out to the 4 hour, we might get some sort of insane blow off top here. Everybody can see this very interesting looking flag formation. And of course, those the algo signals, they'll all go crazy if we break out through the top here. But that's actually painting 10,600 as an ultimate upside objective. So get ready, guys. We might see some pretty wild fireworks here through the weekend. Having said that, let's listen to Mr. Bear. What are you seeing in the big cryptos at the moment?
Well, you ain't gonna like this one because I think I'm totally opposite of you and in bear fashion here. I really don't like what I'm seeing out of this rally. I don't like that we're going into the weekend. I don't like this hourly chart one bit. I think that we're due for a pullback on the hourly. And the problem that I have with that is that because the hourly is now so overbought, that this divergence is really coming in a way that I would short this market on the hourly. I think that whoever was buying crypto, they have gone to beach. And I'm afraid that the support for the price to continue to be bidding up may be muted through the weekend.
That's one reason why I absolutely love the bot is if this thing does crap out right now, I'm just forced to walk away at scratch. Big fucking deal.
Yeah. I mean, look, here's the thing, right? You've got your trading plan and your setups. And when it comes to this market state, I 100% believe that your setups work way better than my setups, right? Like I'm a range trader and I'm a bear, right? I want to see this. I want to see it crash. I want to make money in 5 minutes. I don't want to wait, 6 weeks for this thing to come true. But in these types of environments where you have these run-ups and then this sideways price action, the immature trader in me was shorting here, right? And then it would come down like, oh, I got the big one. And then it's like, no, you didn't. W's comes back up, and then I get margin called or stopped out. And then I'd come back and I'm like, all right, this is it. I'm going to short it again. And then it comes in and it comes down and it doesn't go even back down to the original market structure bottom that it had in this area of the range. And I'm like, I could have sworn this was a short. And then by the time we're here, I'm like, all right, you know what? It hasn't worked. It's a bull. And then eventually this thing craps out. I'm like, God damn it, I'm an idiot. That was like my trading development as I went through the first couple of years of this thing. Is you start to realize that this game is pretty crazy and there's all kinds of twists and turns to it. But to get back on track here, yes, it does look like we're trying to break out. And as Brian's bullish setups and bots come in, they afford you the ability to stay in these long positions for a longer period of time than an impatient bear like me would. But again, I don't like what I'm seeing on the hourly. The 4-hour doesn't really support any kind of crashes, but I have seen, like, through these weird holiday weekends, and when you have the lower time frames looking like crap, and whoever's trading this before they go to the Hamptons and they decide to walk away, this thing could just kind of poop itself a little bit, maybe go down and retest down around these areas. But I mean, really, there's no technical setup for a short on the 4-hour. So, you know, as far as that's concerned, you have to be cognizant of the potential for this to just kind of go sideways. But really what I'm seeing is there's a short on the table. It's not a short on the 4-hour. It's a short on the 1-hour. So you've got this div. You've got a range to work with.
Is that div confirmed yet?
No, right. It's, again, it's a potential div. This hasn't been confirmed yet. But if this does crap out here,
I could totally see them bring this thing back down to tag value low there, 200 SMA, all the moving average cluster in there. I could totally see them do that. And, you know, we might even see, like, through the weekend, well, not even through the weekend, even heading, you know, like what I see happen a lot in crypto is sort of the New York market closes, beep, and then like the hour or two after the New York close, boom, they knock it down.
Yeah, that's
a lot in Bitcoin recently.
Exactly. Remember, this is an hourly trade. So if this thing doesn't come in over the next 6 to 8 hours, it's foobarred, and the market will have cleaned itself up after these 6 to 8 hours have passed. So, I mean, here is realistically where I should be firing off my short, but instead I think I posted this in the lounge yesterday, but I took a long on Ethereum. I don't know why I've been playing Ethereum so much. I really haven't touched Bitcoin, but I went long off of this area down here as we put in this kind of wonky market structure bottom.
Now that is a beautiful bullish div.
Exactly.
So that's, if anything, this is such a great testament to waiting for those divs to confirm. And took a lot of patience there. And you didn't grab the exact bottom, but I think what you said, you were buying around 240 or somewhere in that area.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as you're right, I didn't catch the bottom, but the thing is, you don't know if this is the bottom or not. If you bought down here, you got balls of steel, great. But this thing could have just dropped out from underneath it, and look at all the, the open air. It's like, woof, you would have gotten burned there. So, I gave up about what, $8-9 to the upside, but I had some nice support to work with. I had nice stops to work. I had a bull div. Willie was oversold. I even had some OBVWs coming in. I saw volume marching into the market. I was even able to add to the position as we retested this neckline here. And, right now, did I close this thing? Oh, I missed my order by freaking 50 cents. Okay, so I've got...
But I would say, just be patient there. I mean, look at the top of value, right?
Oh, yeah.
78.6. If anything, and this is a trader's life. A lot of times we have to sit here and just wait for it, right? But I wouldn't, and especially the way that today's session profile looks, I think there's got to be some sort of exploration up top to create an above value range up there. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a little bit of a blow off top here.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I have orders working here to sell all of the position. I know last time I was like, oh, I'm going to change my order and I'm going to keep 20% of it. and I didn't. I don't know why I'm impersonating myself with a different voice. That's weird. But I ended up selling the whole position, and I didn't keep the 20%. I don't know if I'm going to commit to changing that order at this point. I really don't like these divs that are potentially coming into the market.
Yeah, you
I
gotta
could see
look at
this.
your crackhead. Is your crackhead happy right now? I think your crackhead's on a fucking high right now. Oh, excuse my French.
Yeah, it's
Gotta get a swear jar.
the problem with this thing is it's a lagging indicator. So what could happen is this thing sells off and this could just dip right back down really quickly. But when I see stuff like this, I don't see the bears coming out to play from a volume impetus perspective. This big red bar here looks worrisome. This, OBV top, it just looks like we need to settle down a bit, right? So I'm happy making my 240 to 258 bucks or 257, $18 on a trade. I mean, that's decent, right? I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
Have a couple thousand or whatever it is, and go away for the weekend. You got some spending money, right? So that's my trade. The other thing that I would like to see happen through the weekend is I really want to see a pullback, right? I want to see this thing come back down without doing too much technical damage, because I'm looking and I'm still waiting for this stupid XLM thing to come back down, and it's just not doing it, right? We went down to 12 cents. We didn't get much below that, and I guess I got a little antsy, so I worked some bids. Well, actually, I didn't even change my order, but this thing I still have orders sub 10 cents to get filled, but I really need a pullback through the rest of the market to get that. So,
and you feel like this is the kind of stuff where I could see some pretty crazy action through the weekend here.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Markets never move in a straight line forever. Could we have a nice little FU move against these recent lows? Keep in mind, like the Bitcoin, the W that was put in there the other day, that was at 7,500. So here we are at 8,200 on your OKCoin. That's $700. God, I remember when you first joined me here, we wouldn't see a $700 range in Bitcoin for a full year.
When I first joined you, Bitcoin was like $100.
Right. So that, like now $700, boop, we do that in a couple hours.
Yeah, I get all horny and excited when Bitcoin would move $10. I'm like, woohoo, 100%.
So, yeah, I mean, has the volatility stopped with Bitcoin? No. And of course, if you look at my screen here, would I be telling anybody to go in and buy right here? Of course not. And I might even argue that, if we zoomed in on like sort of and this is another reason why I think you'll get your upside objectives hit on Ethereum, is if we do little AB equals CDs, if we go off of here, you can see how close we are to the end of this AB equals CD move, which would probably give you your fill on your Ethereums and stuff. But this is definitely not a buy location, right? You're coming way late to the party here.
Oh, totally. I think you'd be absolutely nutso to be buying here. So, I mean, there's one other thing that I wanted to talk about here. I mean, Litecoin looks interesting to me. Did you look at Litecoin yesterday?
I didn't really look at any of them in earnest, other than just taking a quick boo at the weekly charts just to sort of confirm trend. If anything, ironically enough, the only one that actually was of the big three that was actually potentially suggesting that it was done, its up move, was Litecoin, because it did have this potentially bearish div coming in on the MACD on the weekly charts. But again, you look at OBV, the volume bars are still making higher highs. The bears are nowhere to be seen. And then you look at things like RSI. Willie is not technically overbought yet. And we just had a check, and my hunch is they want to push this thing into overbought. And then, if we do, I mean, keep in mind, guys, and it's fascinating how Charlie is just so quiet lately. But, if we just do simple, is that an initial move? And then we want to see the second part of the move. Really, that's still painting up here 78.6 of this particular range, about $150. So sitting right now, and this is the stamp price for your reference, sitting at $103. Geez, there's still another good, $40 to go here. So that's my 2 cents off the weekly charts. I don't, if you want to give me what you're seeing off the daily charts, I think you might even have if you look at, why don't you tell me what you're seeing, and then I'll draw up some levels off of the daily chart, see if they correspond with what you're seeing.
Well, I don't know what happened today, but Litecoin popped up here. Did you? I'm not really sure why. I don't know if this, a lot of uncertainty in my analysis here, but the halvening is coming up. I'm not sure if this is people buying this thing up in anticipation that, hey, these things are going to get more scarce. It's inevitable from a fundamental perspective that this thing's going to be worth more. I mean, I'm looking at OKCoin. Maybe I should move to something else. So let me do LTC USD on an exchange like, let's do Bitstamp and see what that looks like. This is $102. But again, the thing that's really capturing my interest is this W now that we've created. We tried to come back down and break below this $85 mark over the last couple of weeks, and this just wouldn't give. And that to me means somebody sitting here and was accumulating this as it was going up, right? You can see the orders just got pushed up, pushed up, pushed up. So from a candle perspective, I see a lot of buying interest down there, and that was supposed to kind of fill in the gap here on the daily, on the volume profile, and it didn't. Man, this is some wonky analysis, but just the way that I'm seeing this makes me think that Litecoin is behaving differently, at least right now over the last couple of days. And, we really need to break this area here to continue moving higher. And of course, that's in the face of a potential bearish divergence that's going to need to develop. But the way that it is developing makes me think that this has one more kind of move higher to develop that div just a little bit more. And maybe that happens into the halvening event. And then, a couple days or weeks before it, then it shits the bed and comes back down. But I mean, I see just this crazy, even from the weekly that you were pointing to, I think that Litecoin still has that upside. Now, the problem is, right, if you buy here, which I don't think is a good idea, your downside is pretty bad, right? So if you buy at $100, you're buying this breakout already. But, a guy like me, if you're crazy, right, and you want to get in on this, and I want to get in on this, I would probably be working my bids at $95, maybe a couple bids below that, and working with what we've established here and having my stop set, way below these levels. So you're risking about $10 to the downside if you're working your bids at that $95 area. You set your stops below here, maybe into the weekend. If you really want to be nuts and work bids down here as well, you can get filled, but have your stops below this tail here at $82. So I think there's a couple of different ways to play this if you want to work with the structure that's already in place. And then you kind of have like ABCDs or bots or whatever it is that, your continuation trades. This thing could pop, and I'd love to see what your levels are that have our continuations in place. But I think that if that comes in, it's there. So take the ball. Show us what you got.
That's okay. I didn't mean to cut you off there. So I just quickly threw these levels together. This is yet again another one of these crazy examples where Brian's bot sort of sitting there. What I'm a little bit concerned about, and I just sort of saw this, it jumped out at me, is because, we could potentially have a Gartley forming here. 61.8 is sort of the magic number for Gartley, and you can see we came to 60.6 there. We did a deep test of the lows and are turning back up. So this now becomes a hugely significant area. And of course, you can see good old Brian's bot. Had you taken this bot level, then basically you're moving your stop to scratch in and around this area. This is it's kind of like the Bitcoin chart itself. This, I do not think it's a good idea for anybody to strap on a long here. Really, really bad level here. But notice they actually left a cheeky little gap on this stamp chart. Be interesting to look at the MEX contracts and OKCoin and stuff. But it's interesting how Thomas said, didn't you say if you were going to be working bids, you like the idea of around $90 or so?
Yeah, like $85, $95 area.
All right. And notice there's a cheeky little gap that they left on the charts there at 89. So, the way that I would look at this right now is, I do like the idea that if you were hunting longs, that, the bot level at 92 had you go long and you just had your move stop to scratch level hit. I did notice just a little bit of pop there while you were talking. Did your ETH just pop there?
No, it's actually coming down a bit.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm not quite sure what just happened there on Litecoin, but you can see just as Thomas was speaking there, she popped up and now she's rolling over. But long and short of it here is those people that did take like longs off of these levels, you should have your stop at scratch right now. And, just like Bitcoin, I mean, this silly thing was $85. They just rallied it to 103, 104. So that's basically a $20 range. Could we easily see the market do just even a 50% retracement of this move that we see here? That would take us down to 95. And of course, if we totally crap out and come back down to the bot entry level, bot people should be like, you know what, I got to hop off and just let the dust settle. So really interesting battle going on here. Again, because the weekly charts are still pointing up, I'm not ready to start aggressively thinking short. But at the same time, too, horrible place to be a buyer here, in my opinion. You're too late on this trade. So I don't know. Does that sort of help your thinking here, Thomas?
You're too late. Yeah.
Okay, well, there's that too. So did somebody grab that sound bite? We got to throw that in the library. Okay, so I think we've given our due on the big cryptos. I don't know. I haven't really heard too much talk out of you lately about junior cryptos. So and altcoins. You still sort of not really that interested in the altcoin space?
Nope.
All right. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's entirely predicated on your preference. I think we had mentioned this little CBC yesterday was perking up here. And I've sort of been talking to the audience about this kind of market state right now, where I think that they kind of just threw the baby out with the bathwater, this latest dump in altcoin space on the Bitcoin rally. And there are, in my opinion, areas to be interested in. But at the same time, too, I think, oh, wow, look at this crazy one. I don't know whether, is this one being delisted? Be careful around all of that. Kevin's telling us that there are names popping up. BTC Go. Not a bad looking W. You could maybe hunt reload zones if you're interested in this. I noticed you're getting crazy ass little blow off tops, very typical of altcoins. So, I mean, if anything, we're heading into the silly part of the market here. CBC is also being delisted, so that maybe that's like an exit pump. Thank you, Jonas. I appreciate that. So maybe a lot of these are just simply exit pump plays before the actual delisting event. Could be. Yeah, we had talked yesterday about waves, and actually it was interesting. Julian was like, I really like this waves. So I don't know. I mean, you could play if you were interested reload zones off this, but please everybody understand that we're still in sort of cleanup mode in the altcoin space. Probably a little bit early for us to get too aggressive on the bull side, But, if you are the type of person where, like I can trade W's and I'll risk against the bottom end of the ranges, well, the trades are there. It's just, you better have your plan fully vetted and ready to rock and roll. And of course, if they crap out, you better just hop off. I still think that that's the type of market state that we're in. We will be doing class here shortly. But after class, I might continue perusing through the charts. And if I see W's coming in on these names, I'll be more than happy to post them in the lounge. Anybody else happens to see W's come in, please feel free to share. And I suppose Fridays, doesn't Trex come out with their delisting sort of notifications on Friday afternoon? So let's be cognizant of that. They might have a whole new shitstorm ahead of us here. So that's probably about the best that I can comment on the altcoin space right now. And I think on balance, like Thomas was saying, I think we still are in that trying to find a bottom in that space, chop Vegas kind of thing. And because of these delisting issues, there's probably still sort of a cloud of uncertainty around this space right now. Okay, thought I'd just mention that. Anything else you want to add to the picture before we send these good people on their way, sir?
Just two news articles that I dug up here. Binance looks like it's going to start offering leverage trading.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. How does that work for U.S.?
And you could buy it on a credit card, right?
No, you can actually buy it with, you leverage your children, actually. It's very, very interesting. This is a weird thing for Binance to offer because I think it actually puts them at risk for violating U.S. securities laws and, the whole leverage trading situation. I don't think it's a security law, but whatever it is, you don't really want to offer that product to U.S. citizens.
I don't think Americans are allowed to trade on Binance anyway, though, right?
Is that true?
I seem to remember that, but I could be mistaken.
Well, Jonah says you can.
Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected.
Well, I think that they're going to get a knock on the door from regulators if they start offering this thing to U.S. citizens. So if anything, it's just leverage trading, if they're smart, will not be allowed and provided to U.S. traders. So there's that. Don't trade them. I may look into it, but honestly, I hate their GUI. I hate entering orders on their system. It's like the most frustrating thing in the world that they don't allow you to copy pasta anything. So I don't really want to be leverage trading with some screwed up interface that makes me, enter my orders wrong or makes it any harder than it needs to be. So we'll see how that unfolds. And if it's any good, I'd happily move from, where I'm trading now to them. Anyway, next article here. Circle warns U.S. cryptocurrency laws are chilling innovation. Okay, so they're saying that the ambiguity of these laws is hurting innovation, keeping companies from being able to offer products to people in the U.S., and that regulators need to figure out, hey, give us some actual groundwork here to work with other than these very vague ideas of how we should be regulating these things. And then maybe we can actually get our innovation together. But this is really no different. I don't know what, this article is just Goldman coming out and saying, hey, maybe it's a good idea that we get some lobbyists in here. And they really should, right? Goldman, Circle is backed by Goldman. So if anyone has the power to make sure this thing gets rolled out properly, they do. Maybe they need to stop sending out chilling alerts and instead send out paychecks to some lobbyists so that they can get to work. That would certainly help the crypto industry. So those are the only two articles. Again, there was that Iran thing with local Bitcoins. And then I think I saw something about McAfee buying Tezos and, some other junky articles, but nothing really worthwhile talking about here. Isn't there something going on in Baltimore where they can't get access to some of their housing data because hackers broke into their Gmail account and they're holding it ransom with a Bitcoin bounty on it? Anyone see that? That was pretty nuts. That was in the news here in the US. I don't know how they're going to fix that. And then I guess Facebook came out with their article and they They're going to be trialing this thing called Global Coin, and they're going to implement it across a dozen countries. That just came across my thing. So let me see. Facebook and Global Coin. See what this says. Yeah, here we go. So cryptocurrency to launch in 2020. And that, of course, sparked Mike Novogratz to come out and say that, oh, social media coins are the new thing. I don't think they're going to overtake Bitcoin is what he said, but he was definitely interested in this. So there you go. We've been talking about this Facebook currency coming out. And then the government said, you guys need to open up all of your IP and show it to us because we're worried that you're going to kind of screw up with privacy concerns like they did before. But, you know, I don't know what actually came of that. But hey, these social media sites are coming in on it, right? We talked about WhatsApp offering cryptocurrency, peer-to-peer transactions, and, you know, a lot of stuff going on here. A lot of methods for people to facilitate cryptocurrency payments between each other. I don't know if this, you know, Facebook stablecoin idea is going to be a good idea, but there's a lot of users on Facebook and a lot of people that could have access to it, and it could take off really quickly in a way that nobody really anticipates. Could you imagine it? Oh, that'll be $5 Facebook dollars, please. Okay, yeah, no problem. Extending Facebook money as opposed to crypto would be an odd revelation in this whole space. But I mean, as far as news is concerned, that's kind of what's going on, and I'll keep it to a minimum there.
Okay.
So that's
Well,
it.
we are past the top of the hour. I do have to pop on off and teach a class here in about 45 minutes. So, Mr. Mayor, what do you think? Did we do a half decent job giving these people some stuff to think about today?
Approval.
All right. Thank you, sir. I suppose will we see you Monday-ish, Thomas? Do you think, are you around next week?
So well, the market's closed
Monday's a
Monday.
holiday, isn't it? So.
Yeah, and I think I'm gonna take a little bit of a beach vacation for Monday and Tuesday, so
Okay.
I'll probably just be around Wednesday, Thursday, Friday of next week.
All right, we will see you. Have yourself an awesome U.S. Is it Memorial Day? Is that the name of the holiday?
Yeah, it's funny because you Canadians, you guys call it May 2-4, right?
Well, it's supposed to be the Queen's birthday, Victoria Day holiday, but for some reason we did it a week earlier this year. But we used to joke, call it May 2-4. And the weird thing is that when I was growing up, a case of beer was 24 beers. But all of a sudden nowadays, nobody drinks a whole case of beer anymore. I guess that's too much. So, you know, we used to affectionately call it the May 2-4 weekend, right? 2-4 is a case of beer. But you can't use that term anymore. So maybe that's why they changed the date of the holiday this year. I don't know. But in very odd fashion, we had our holiday weekend last weekend, which was kind of weird. Usually they correspond, but nonetheless, sort of a big sort of feel-good weekend kickoff to the summer driving season for you guys down in the States. And, of course, Shane, are you driving down to Mexico or are you flying? Flying. Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Okay, so why don't we leave it at that? You know, happy hunting, everybody. Nice to see that the Bitcoin market is still hanging in there. You know, watch for short-term pullbacks. I think it's a little bit late to be taking long shots just right here. But at the same time, too, you know, those that are long and that are enjoying a little bit of uppy, you know, it almost looks to me like had you been hunting this bot long, at the very worst, you should probably just walk away at scratch. So. Okay, I think I'm done. Have yourselves a great day, everybody. You want a big goodbye to the audience, Thomas?
Rar?
Okay, rar. And actually, you need to go take a nap too, don't you?
I got a lot of work to catch up on too, but before I head off on Monday and Tuesday. But yeah.
Okay, so have yourselves a great afternoon, evening, wherever you are in the world. All the best. And the only thing left for good old Brian to say at this point is a big bye.